How's the market in Colorado?
It's kind of messy. It's kind of messy. We are kind of the little sister to the big Denver market.
Yes.
Big Denver market has hit its leveling off last year, and
Hmm.
so now we're the one that gets to play catch up, and we're just scrambling. Anything under
So it was it was pretty nutty in Denver for years, right?
years, it was a mess. Yeah.
And now things are a little more balanced, still kind of a seller's market or no?
It is still a seller's market. It's funny that, if they have a house sit on the market for 30 days, they consider that to be a tragedy. And the olden days, what was it? A balanced market is 6 months. I'm
Yeah,
like, who leaves a house on the market for 6 months? That just sounds
right.
weird.
Yeah. That's hard for a seller to always be in showing condition for 6 months,
Yeah.
right? That's painful.
Yeah.
The market here, Hampton Roads, Virginia Beach, still brisk. They've had just a market that's been on fire for years now.
Mhm.
DC, slower than Northern Virginia. I was talking to Brian Block, Brian, the other day about that and how the inventory can be so much tighter in Northern Virginia than DC when it's not the Potomac Ocean, it's the Potomac River, right? And you cross it, and we haven't figured out why. That's not to say that DC is a bad market,
Mhm.
but Northern Virginia, 30 offers on a row home in South Arlington
That's
just
messy.
is just insane.
Ooh,
So
well,
anyway, yeah.
let's talk about strategies today.
So strategies to get more listings is, I think, what we wanted to talk about, right?
Yeah.
So we've said since the dawn of real estate that listing agents control the market,
Yeah.
right? And in this case, it's really hard to get listings.
Mhm.
You're competing with the discount brokers. You are competing with just people that are locked into 3.5% interest rate and they don't want to move.
Sure.
We're competing with baby boomers who aren't quite ready to move yet. They need one more really bad winter before they're like, the hell with it, I'm moving south. So it's really hard to get listings, and I think that's what we wanted to talk about today. So do you have a little intro to that as well?
Oh my goodness. I really want to poke so many pins in all those limiting beliefs. When we
Yes.
say, who are we competing against? So I want to tell a brief story about being a newbie and being broke and driving around town and seeing signs that weren't mine. And I remember feeling just sick. Like,
Mm,
I've never even heard of that company. How did Ma and Pa Nobody get
yeah.
a listing? Why not me? And I don't know why it didn't occur to me in the moment. I didn't lose to them. I never even competed. I
Right.
don't know those people.
Right.
I never had an at bat. So when you say we're competing, I think we got to get super real about whether we're competing or we're hiding at home. So let's go.
Yeah. More at bats.
Yeah.
Right. And we wanted to start with, I think, what you call the annual review, or I call the annual review, annual home checkup.
Yeah.
This is something that we've been discussing, you and I, for the better part of a year now, I think.
Yeah.
The idea was yours. I stole it. I started to run with it. You and I probably do it slightly differently in how we prepare the report or where the report comes from. And we
Yeah.
can talk about that in a minute, and the agents
Yeah.
can decide what's best for them. But give me a snapshot of what this annual home checkup or review is. And
Yeah.
frankly, I've told some of the people that I work with, it doesn't just have to be annual. It could be every 6 months if you want, right? If you want that extra touch, right? But anyway, give us an intro as to how you define this.
Well, it just occurred to me that maybe I want to call it the annual home value report so that anybody we share it with will know what we're saying.
I like it. Yep.
So the annual home value report is we are keeping the people that we know in the know about their home's value. And Tom Ferry says your home's new value. Now, someday that script is going to fall the other direction and we won't want to use it anymore.
Right.
But in an appreciating market, when you say, would you like to know your home's new value, that can be intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
So when you provide people with an annual home value report that has other resources in it, and this is not just a one-line CMA,
Mm-hmm.
this is not just the down and dirty. This is a nice, bound, lovely thing that they're probably going to hang on to.
Yes.
And 100% credit goes to a woman that I work with. She's the one who does these religiously.
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell everyone listening, anything you do with incredible focus
Mm-hmm.
is going to get you way more results than anything you dabble in. So this is her primary focus. She is
Okay.
extremely proactive at making sure that every single person she knows receives one from her.
Mm-hmm.
And she not only does it for everyone in her sphere of influence, every single past client gets one every single year.
Okay.
She does them around every mega open house. And
Nice.
she does them in her and her son's neighborhoods. They show up at the door together because they want to sell the team concept. And they
Okay.
say to the neighbor, you know, we all experienced fires a couple of years ago, and not
Mhm.
everyone in our area had adequate homeowners insurance. It's so important for all of us to know the true value of our home to make sure we're carrying the right amount of insurance. And they give them this beautiful bound report. And it's just like all of the defensiveness of having, you know, missionaries show up at their door melts away, and now they're having engaged conversations.
Okay, so question for you. Is this a pop by, so to speak, in all of the categories that you mentioned? So are they popping by the house of the past client? Are they mailing this report? They're popping by the house to invite people to the mega open, right, along with this report. But I guess the farm and the past clients, how is this particular agent delivering it?
It is both, because she does so many.
Yes.
She does 50 to 100 a week.
Okay.
So when she's doing them on a street, it makes it way easier to pop by. Now we're door knocking.
Right.
No, because she's a perfectionist and you don't
Mhm.
have to do it her way. And I appreciate, Charlie, you pointing out that everyone can do it differently.
Yeah.
Each one is custom. It has a picture of their house on it and it has the address on it.
Yep.
Like,
yes.
it's not a stack of generic reports.
Yep.
Now, a lot of the content is generic. It's not like every single page is unique to the property. So just for compiling purposes, it won't be that daunting.
Right.
But when it comes to, you know, reaching somebody who's a 40-minute drive, who's a past client, they are mailing those. But it does get a hand calligraphed envelope, you know, just
Okay, got it. So for the audience, because this is a question that always comes up, can I email them? My answer is no, do not email them. Do not email a big attachment. People miss emails. We get tons of email.
Yeah.
So, you know, whether you print it and staple it, print it and bind it, you know, put it in the nice envelope, you know, you were saying that they address it nicely, you know, take the extra step, because postage is still so super cheap, right? This is not an expensive activity, and the return on this investment can be enormous.
Right.
So you mentioned, and we're going to get to how do I get the information, how, you know, what report am I using, and this and that. But you had said that one reason to do this is for insurance purposes.
Mm-hmm.
So people are not, especially where you all are with the wildfires and issues like that, people are not always prepared as their home goes up in value. Is their insurance tracking to that value? So that was one reason. Another reason that we mentioned to do this activity would be for people that have PMI, and to be able to get rid of the PMI. Because I think that you and I and most of our audience, we are paying attention to the market. We're paying attention to rates and value and this and that. But when you and I were talking on Friday, I was saying, you know, that most people, they're not. Most people, they're paying attention to their work and their spouse and their dog and their, you know, and the kids in the school, and they're just living their life. They're not thinking about, you know, did my house appreciate enough to get rid of PMI, or do I have enough insurance because houses have been appreciating, or maybe my house value has gone down. They're not paying attention really at all unless they've had thoughts of selling. They're just not.
Sure.
So getting or being eligible for a home equity loan was the third reason that we talked about. Yeah. And then the fourth reason is maybe they are thinking about upsizing or downsizing. So how are you explain to me what the cover letter looks like. We're mentioning these reasons as to why we're sending them the report. Yes?
Yes, right. Because you don't want, I mean, those of us who aren't trying to be super salesy or pushy,
right?
We don't want the people that we give this to think that we're saying, get out of your house, right? So we're making it clear that understanding your home's value every single year is a valuable and important thing, and we're here to be of service.
I like it. Yes.
You know, and so custom letter addressed to the homeowner with that explanation.
Good. So where are you getting this report?
So, you know, you and I talked about how it could be so many ways, right?
Yep.
You could use Cloud CMA, you could
Yep.
use RPR. The friend that I have at the office who does this just out of our MLS, and we have Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to speak down to the way that it turns out because she's having extraordinary results. But when I've looked at the meat of this delicious, incredible, scary, amazing
Yes.
report, it's just MLS data. It's so simple.
Right.
You know, she prints out the comps, she prints
Yep.
them in the table, she prints them on a map, she
Okay.
prints them in short form, and then she binds them with notations. And she also has a few trending reports. She
Mm-hmm.
subscribes to something called firstfocus.com, which I do
Okay.
not, and that gives larger market trending reports.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
you can have very, very specific things to the consumer, to their specific neighborhood,
Mm-hmm.
to your specific market, but any other trending reports that you think would be valuable. I would like to add, do you know how home inspection reports in the back are kind of generic?
Yes. Yes.
There's like this encyclopedia to home
Yep.
ownership
Yep.
in the back. I like the idea of adding a little bit of that, right?
Okay.
Some best practices. Maybe it's a spring cleaning and a fall winterizing checklist.
Okay.
I like the idea of making this such a valuable, like her intention is that it will be so lovely they'll save it.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I like it. So I'm always an advocate of using RPR. We have Matrix too, I think in all three of the MLSs that we deal with. I like RPR in that you are putting in the address and you're doing a property report. And it really is that simple. The photo is already there, but I will warn the audience that it is a Google Street Map photo. And for the building that I'm sitting in now, this condominium, for whatever reason, the Google Street Map is a picture of the brick wall in the alley. So you would have to go in and you'd have to change the photo. But other than that, the graphs and everything, and if you're printing this in color, which would be my recommendation, it's all quite pretty. And I've had clients that have done this, and they have had people that have called them and said, oh my gosh, I cannot believe you spent this much time compiling all this data for me. And it's like, you're just putting in an address. I mean, honestly, you're putting in the address, you can put in certainly the client's name, and then you're printing it and you're basically done. I highlight the range of what the home could be worth. RPR, you know, they drill down and there's a bullseye, which is never really accurate, and then there's a range.
Yeah.
And my cover letter talks about how it is computer generated and it is a range. And if they want a more specific value, I'm more than happy to pop by, take a look at their home. I'll bring the coffee, right? And then I will give them a more accurate evaluation of their home's value. So it's RPR is imperfect. Not every brokerage here even participates. But for me to be able to churn out these reports quickly, I think it makes sense just to do that, or to use Matrix, or you can use Cloud CMA for our associates that, for our folks that are watching this that are associates at Allegiance. You know, you can buy into the hub, and one of the pieces of the hub is Cloud CMA, right? It is part of that suite. So, but I like the idea of RPR, and it really is just, you're putting in the address, it's property report, and you're really kind of just done. It is that simple, more simple than even a Cloud CMA. So you know, those are my thoughts.
Well,
So
and to clarify for those listening, RPR is a service provided to all of us who are members of the National Association of Realtors.
yes, thank you.
NARRPR.com.
Yes.
You don't know your login and password, you'll figure it out.
Yep.
You do have an account.
Everyone has an account, and the customer service there is amazing. I believe that they still have 24/7, 365 customer service where you can chat with them, you can call them, whatever. NAR has spent a ton of money on it. We've all paid for it, so we might as well use it. And again, it's not perfect, but it's better than us spending 4 hours trying to come up with something on our own.
Which brings us to, let's not overthink this, right?
Yes, yes.
We really could overthink this, guys. And I think if you did a down and dirty, if you just spent 10 minutes in RPR, and the reason it would take me 10 minutes instead of 2 is because I'm going to want to eliminate a few pages because it's
Right. Yep.
You could print a 30-page thing out of there, and that's a lot of print cost, and some of it's repetitive. So
Yep.
I would want to go through and edit it a little bit before I hit the print button.
Fair enough. Yeah.
If we all take too much time to be perfectionist about this, and we don't just reach out to our past clients, friends, coworkers from former industries, you know, whatever it might be, and say, how are you doing? Would you like to know your home's new value? We're missing an opportunity.
Yeah, anybody that you know who owns a house who doesn't also own a real estate license is a candidate for this activity, right? And if anybody wants to shoot me an email, charlesbengal@remax.net, I have a kit, an annual home value kit where I have a sample letter. I have the instructions of where to go and RPR. It's all done. I'll just send it to you, and it's as turnkey as I can make it without actually physically doing the reports on behalf of the agent.
Wonderful.
So, and one could, you could almost have a business where the agents give you
Oh my goodness, just
the
give a
database, you send it
Somebody
automatically.
Wow.
Interesting. So anyway, that's a piece of this, right?
Yes.
It's sending the mail.
Right.
And then should we be calling
100%.
and saying, and
Yeah.
then what's the script? There's a million good scripts.
Yes.
We were talking about this right before we went live today, and we were joking about it. For me, the easiest script is, hey, Steven, did you get my mail that I sent last week? Right? Did you get the package I sent last week? Right? It's just so easy, right? And they're going to say, well, yeah, because they don't get a 20-page report sent to them regularly, right? They will remember that. Now, if you wait a month to call, there may be a pause and some confusion and wait, what'd you send? When was it, right? So the idea is, and I'm always telling people that I work with, figure out how many people you know and how many of these you want to send per week, but don't, if you know 200 people, let's not send 200 this week because you won't have time to make 200 calls next week.
That's a really good point.
Let's pace it so we're sending enough to where you're comfortable on the call volume next week. So when you are able to follow up with them. And so what other scripts besides that, and how would you go about this conversation with someone after you send them the report?
Well, again, I don't want any of our listeners to overthink it, right?
Right.
Our clients liked us when we helped them. Our friends like us. Like, do your best to relax. Did you get the package that I sent you? What did you think of the report, right? I read it. I didn't read it. I liked it. I have a question. I don't have a question, right? It's going to go organically from there.
Yes.
Be enthusiastic. Be supportive, right? Ask, who do you know that could benefit from having a report like this done on their home? I'm happy to help, right? That's an opportunity to look for referrals.
And yes, and I just want to point out to the group, who do you know is very different than do you know anyone?
Oh, no, I don't. I can't think
Exactly. So I hope everybody is paying attention to that. Who do you know? It's very unlikely that if you say, who do you know, someone's going to say no, right? That's not the way you answer that question.
Not a yes, no question.
Exactly. So remember, when you're talking to people, open-ended questions. Try to avoid the yes and the no and the slamming of the door, right? So what else on this report? We also wanted to get into today some good scripts for listings, calling your sphere regarding listings, right? We talked about that a few minutes ago. I wanted to get into that, but what else on this report, specifically this lead generating activity that you and I are talking about, known as, from now on, the annual home value report?
Great. Yeah, we'll just keep making it longer.
Yes.
I think something that you and I were talking about before we went live was, could we simply ask the people that we talk to, are you interested in selling your house, right? And what is the best way to ask that?
Right.
Now, I will tell you, our inventory is quite short. And then we have people in our markets. We even have past clients and people in our sphere who have told us they're interested in moving, but they're really on the fence because they haven't seen a place to buy. They don't want to list and not have a place to go. So we've got this chicken and egg problem in our market. So we were saying, how could we encourage our people who have said, gee, I really would like to downsize, upsize, cross the tracks, whatever it is.
Right.
How can we encourage them to do that? So we talked about having really honest, collaborative conversations with every single one of them about what stands in the way of you making that move this year. How can I help, right? Let's be problem solvers.
Yes.
Let's not be people who just pound signs in yards.
Right, right.
So I'm eager to call every single person I know and say, have you had any thoughts of selling, and what got in the way of that being possible? And then start trying to triage. I have a friend who believes that if everybody would just get over it and list, we'd solve the inventory problem.
That's an interesting theory. You might be right.
Well, we have enough buyer demand that I think we still have, I think it's still out of proportion. We have more demand than we have houses. But
yeah, I mean, it's Zillow did a study, 2 years ago, why people are afraid to sell. And I think the number one reason was we don't know where we're going to go, right? Inventory issues, this and that. And then the second reason was, and this is a topic for another day, the hassles of selling.
Right.
Needing to keep the house looking perfect and all the lights on every time we leave for work because we may get a showing, right? Having to corral the dog and the kids' toys and all that. So that is one of the reasons why some of these iBuyer programs have kind of popped up, right? Where, you sell in a week and you don't have to worry about all that stuff.
Right.
So, and some of those services are starting to thrive a little bit.
But I think, and I don't know if we have to save this for another day, but that speaks to what is your service, okay?
I like that, yes.
We had a very candid conversation at my brokerage yesterday about what is our service and where do we fall short. I had a client that I felt like she was an adult and she could figure out how to move, and I didn't ask her, how do you feel about the timing of these two moves? How do you feel about, what is your strategy? When will you get the truck? I thought that's being her mom. I don't have to be her mom, I'm her realtor. But I think I overlooked, we could have had the conversation and I could have helped her. So we brainstormed, and if you're interested, I can share an incredible list of the above and beyond service that all of us could consider having at our disposal when we say, what's in the way of you getting what you want?
Right. Yeah. Do you have that information?
Yes.
Cool.
So bear with me for everybody who's going to get really, nervous when they hear all these things. These are options. You don't have to do it all.
Right.
We talked about the entire intention here is to give love and to remove pain, right?
Yes.
Let's get into their pain and let's find a way to remove it. So we talked about having a very complete resource list. What are all the resources that they're going to need, whether it's vendors or other types of resources, right? Maybe it's a furniture pickup for people who want to just purge their furniture. Maybe there's a charity that just will come and pick it up.
Yep.
So an absolutely complete resource list. Maybe you provide a certain number of months of storage as a part of your listing service. I just provide a storage unit. A dumpster. Maybe you provide a dumpster, and the people at my brokerage wanted it to be branded, right? It's the Amy Lass and it's the Charlie Bengal branded dumpster.
Yeah. When you think of trash, you call Charlie Bengal.
Well, and they said as soon as it's full, as soon as your client has made maximum use of it, the neighbors get to use it. So that was
right. I like that idea.
To have really good cleaning services and maybe make it routine.
Yes.
Right. That it's just a couple of hours of cleaning services, or a couple of hours. It's 6 hours of a handyman's time to get their house ready to go.
Yep.
We talked about having discounts, having a few people that always offer a better service, and when they mention Charlie Bengal, they get the Charlie Bengal treatment.
Right.
We talked about having a landscaping cleanup be a routine part of what you could offer, that you just have somebody who goes in and puts the polish on their curb appeal for them. They don't have to overthink that. We talked about whether or not to have pre-inspections. That can be controversial. Having a roofer look at the house prior to going to market. We talked about setting very good expectations up front, packing and moving services, the breadth of staging from consultation to full staging services, the possibility of a hotel room, a nice hotel room for 2 days, the first week it goes on the market, send them to a nice hotel. I know.
Yes. Send
them to a nice hotel that takes pets.
Yep.
And they just don't have to be there for those 30 offers. They don't have to put up with that. When they move, you pay their sitter. You don't choose their sitter. Never. You pay their sitter to absolutely take care of them. You have meals delivered. These were just some of the things that we talked about that you could have at your disposal to say, don't worry about this, I've got it.
And you know what I'm hearing is this is a concierge service.
Heck yes.
And what we need to be doing is calling it this is the concierge service that I have, and this is what I provide.
Yes.
Right? And that needs to be in the pre-listing book, right? That goes to them ahead of time, right? And I would not, it should not be a secret, right? And having our own process. And we've talked in the mastermind groups that I have hosted at Allegiance, having a concierge service, and the fact that there are some of our agents that are already doing this stuff, but they don't call it something sexy. And we were talking about coming soon listings and being able to tell a seller that, hey, sign now so this can, and this is Chuck Klein is on, and he was saying, sign up now so your home can be part of our portfolio program.
Nice.
Doesn't that sound nice?
Yes.
That's what some of our competitors are doing, right? And some of them are marketing these services that some agents have been doing for decades, forever. We all have vendors.
Right.
Some of them will be like the handyman, just go over there and fix the screen door. I got it. I'm not going to charge a seller. I just want to get it done. That's a concierge service, but we don't call it anything. We just do it.
Right.
So spending a few minutes, and this could have been a whole other call because here goes Charlie here I go down the tangent, right? Figuring out what that is, articulating what that is, putting it in writing, having a flyer. And we even talked about in the mastermind group that while this should be part of the pre-listing book, I would have a trifold brochure that talks about my concierge service. Because I want it to be something separate, something special. Sure. And again, almost all the agents that do any business, they're already doing this, but they don't call it anything. And this is all about marketing and making it feel special. So I think, your list is brilliant. And if you can, we'll get staff to compile it and we can send it out to the group because I think that just scratches the surface. We just have a few minutes left, and I want to kind of transition back to scripts to talk to people about selling. And I'm going to throw more love to Chuck. I was not licensed in the district when I purchased this condo, so I needed an agent. Chuck was my agent. And for years afterwards, when I would see Chuck, he would say, how's the condo? And I use that line with so many people because it's such a warm reason to call. So we were joking about this before we went live today. There's another coaching organization that one of the scripts is, hey, Amy, it's Charlie Bingle from Remax Allegiance. This is the business call. Do you have a few minutes for me? That's the script. Now, for me, it's completely off-putting. I hate that script, right? But there are thousands of agents around the country that are using that script now, right? The script's been around for decades. And
it's working too.
It works for them, right? So we were joking, it almost doesn't matter what the script is, just pick up the phone and say something, right?
Yes.
So Chuck's script of, hey, Charlie, how's the house? How's it going? They just start talking, right? And then you can get into the old Ford acronym of family, occupation, recreation, and dreams, right? You can segue into all that stuff. You can segue into, have you had any thoughts of selling and what price are you a seller? Because I will tell you all, everybody has their price.
Sure.
And I was telling you, Amy, a few minutes ago, this condo on a good day is worth $730 now. That's great. I have no intentions of selling. But if somebody knocked on the door right now with a suitcase full of $1 million in cash, I'd be like, did you bring boxes too? Because I'm out, right? Everybody has their price. And you were saying for some people that price might be 70-30. I mean, it might be 730, right? Exactly what I want, but I don't even know that it's worth that, right? So having these conversations, so not everybody's price is, 30% more than it's worth, like my price is. Some people, it might be right on the money. And if you've gone to Zillow, to the Make Me Move section, it's very interesting. Some people, the Zestimate is 500,000, but the Make Me Move price is $1 million. But there's others that the prices are pretty close.
Yeah.
They're quite close, actually. And it's always, that's kind of interesting. So we're almost out of time. What are some other,
I think we brought it full circle. If you do annual, now I forgot the name. What's the new name?
The new name is Annual Home Value Report.
There you go. If you do annual home value reports for people and you follow up with them and you ask if they've had any thoughts of selling, or you ask who they know, the thing of it is they may have certain types of things that are in the way of them getting what they want. Right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
it might be dollar. They might not know that they have enough, but they might not know what options they have. And so if you're prepared with your concierge level service,
Yep.
and they say, well, the challenge is X, and you say, oh, no worries, I've got this. Let me
Right.
explain.
Right.
I always provide, we'll get the yard done, we'll do this and we'll do this, and here's where we'll get you. And then we'll transfer you, no problem. We'll negotiate a lease back.
Right. Right.
And be prepared to solve their problem. And
Yes.
it might not just be, I want top dollar. It could
Right.
be any number of things. So
Yeah. Tom Ferry says we get paid to solve problems. The more
yes.
problems we solve, the more money we make.
Well, but if we don't know their problems, we can't solve them.
Exactly.
So
ask more questions, right?
Yeah.
Ask more questions. So I think we leave it there.
All right, terrific.
Hey,
I'm
always
so
good to see you.
Kit. We're all excited to see the kit. Make my life easy, Charlie.
Yes, I'm happy to send everybody the kit. Charles Bingle at Remax.net. And Amy, I will see you in a couple of weeks. Always good to see you. And thanks for participating.
Bye, everybody.
Take care. Bye-bye.